Dive into a world where books are available at the click of a mouse. I'm Dr. Emily Sherwood. To learn more about literacy and education policy, please like and subscribe. So today I'm going to show some of my favorite resources for young children who are learning to read and need books. Now, I said in my last few videos, I've talked a little bit about home literacy. That means reading at home. And one of the things that I said was that many families in the United States find themselves in what might be called a book desert. That means places where it's hard to get books. Maybe the library's far away. Maybe there's not a good library in your area. That happens. Maybe you don't really have access to books at your school. Maybe you go to a small school that has a small library. Maybe you homeschool and say you don't have a lot of resources, but you need some things. There are lots of reasons why you might be in an area or in a situation where you don't have books. Maybe you're the only English speaker or the only speaker of your language in your area, and you wrote books that are in your language. People live all over the world now. So I'm going to show some free and low cost things that you can do to get books when maybe it's a little bit hard to get books. So the first one's Starfall, and I've actually taught many children how to read, mostly using Starfall. And Starfall's changed a lot. It used to be a lot different. But this is Starfall, and most of the books in Starfall are in grades 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to go to grades 1, 2, and 3, and I'm going to go to It's Fun to Read. And we have, I click on the map, and you have all kinds of interactive things you can do. Now, it says you can join, and you can if you want to, but a lot of this is in the free account. All of this is in the free account. It's being slow, but you can actually learn easy words this way. That's one way to learn some words. Now, that's all good, but sometimes you wrote real books. So how can you find that? So the books, actual books that are good for children to learn how to read and to read, are in the Talking Library. And there are all these different books. These are the favorites, things that people really like, but you have nonfiction, which are true stories, and fiction and poetry, which are made up stories. So I'm going to click on nonfiction just to see what we have. And by the way, many students who are reluctant readers, who don't like to read, really like to read nonfiction. Many times schools, especially in the lower grades, focus more on fiction, which is the make-believe stories. And there are some students, especially boys, who just don't like those. They prefer nonfiction. So let's look at the nonfiction. So let's eat. Remember, for all the books, you can choose to subscribe if you want to, but you don't have to. So let's eat, a book about delicious colors. So they can read word by word, and this is really helpful for especially young students who are pretty good at reading, but to start with, it helps if they can follow along. Yeah, so that's starfall.com, and again, it's open to anyone. The ones that are in gray are the ones that you have to subscribe to, and you can join if you want to, if you decide you want to do that. Starfall also has what we call decodable books. So to find that, I'm going to go to Learn to Read. And here we go. And these are the books that I largely used with my students who were learning how to read phonetically, in other words, to put sounds together. So like this one has Anne and At, Zach the Rat. And this is, by the way, is in order. So if you've got a young child who's learning how to read, these are the easiest, what we call word families, the sounds that go together. And then it goes all the way up to the hardest ones. And of course, it would take more than one book for students to learn this, but this can give you kind of a foundation, something to work on, a resource. So I'm going to click on the book. It has a little, it says Zach. And here they actually blend the letters, Zach. And if I go back, there's actually a game I can do. So the student makes the word. And what happens if the student doesn't make the word, if the student makes a mistake. See, it self-corrects the student. So this is really helpful. You're okay. My daughter is playing, and sometimes she gets very active when she plays. So we've got Starfall, really helpful stuff. So the next resource I have is the International Children's Digital Library. And these are books that have been downloaded. It's associated with the University of Maryland. And there are books all over the place. And one of the reasons why I like this is they have books in many languages. So I know sometimes when I go to things, local things like story times, there are children there who are just really interested in learning languages. Maybe they're native English speakers, but they want to learn another language. Or, if you're learning English and you want to learn in your native language, this is really helpful. So let's go to books by language and just see what they have. Look at all of these books. So both Arabic and English. We have English and French. So we have all these bilingual books, even English and Aramaic. Let's do English and Spanish, because in the United States, that's a pretty common pair. So here we have all these different things. So you can actually read, and you click on the page, and you can read the books. What beautiful pictures. So we've got all these little books, all these stories. Now, these are books that are good for like read aloud. They have, they're a little bit harder for children. A young child learning how to read probably wouldn't be able to read this, but the parent could read it. So those are really good or the teacher. The teacher, wants to use this for the classroom. They're really helpful. So that's the International Children's Digital Library. And you can also go even by color. So if you have a child who really likes a color, maybe a child who's on the autistic spectrum, or just a child who likes certain colors, that may motivate a young child. So my daughter really likes pink. You can already tell. So I'm going to go to the pink, and we've got all these books that are the colored pink. So let's just try this one just to see. Oh, what a beautiful cover. By the way, children really like covers. They get into the pictures and how they look on the cover. Temerie of Tamarindo. So then it has all the pages and the colors. Very colorful books. So a lot of these books are really colorful for children. So that's another resource that you might use. The final resource I'm going to show is Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. And this resource is a little bit different because it actually is physical books. But Dolly Parton's Imagination Library is a program that's really big. See, it says here they've given over 277,000 books. So huge amount, 277 million books, I'm sorry. The population in the United States is only 320 million, so that's a huge number. And this is Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, and it depends on where you're located. For example, the state of Tennessee, the entire state, I believe you can get books, which is really awesome. You can get books. And here in South Carolina, you can only get in some places because they have partnerships. So, for example, if you're not sure if it's in your area or not, you can click here. And I'm going to do this for our location because we live in a rural area. So you can click check. If you're in the United States, you can do a zip code and where you're located. And I'm going to click check, and it says we're eligible. So for this, you have to print online, but many places you can print and send it in, but in many places you can register online. So I put in the zip code there, 37214, Tennessee, Nashville. My parents live in Nashville. We can do that. And I check. It says available in your area. Continue. And here it says that you can mail it in. Online registration. So here you can do it online. Okay. That's really, really helpful. Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, you get a book every month until your child turns 5. And they also have resources here in Spanish. So if your first language is Spanish, you can click on this. And it's the exact same website. Has all the information. And it's also got other resources. These are all the different places it is. I'm going to go back to English to show this, but it's all these different places. Canada, Australia, Ireland, United Kingdom, and the United States. So Dolly Parton Imagination Library is a really good program. I also wanted to mention that even if you don't have access to the Imagination Library, there's another program That's often found in pediatricians' offices in the United States. My daughter gets a book every other month, and we signed her up when we went to her pediatrician. And sometimes you have to ask for it. I had to ask for it, but you might want to ask next time you go to your pediatrician's office if they have a book program, because many pediatricians' offices now have that. So thank you so much. I hope this is helpful to you. And next time I'm going to talk about where to find free and discounted resources for older students, for children who are adolescents or teenagers. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful